Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Coach Bronson here. It is 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night. That means we are live and we are talking about health and fitness topics that apply to you. Hopefully, something today that we're going to talk about, you're going to be able to use in the stuff that you're doing right now for your fitness. We're going to talk about different workout schemes, different types of workouts, and how you can kind of understand what they're for, how they target the different aspects of fitness, and how you can kind of implement them if you're not doing them into the things you're doing now. But before we do that, I want to remind you to subscribe to my channel. Click on the bell so that you are reminded or notified every single time I come out with a new video. I do videos every Tuesday evening live. And then it's usually towards the end of the week, Thursday or Friday, I put out some other kind of video, informational, an interview, something like that. All right. The last thing, remember, share this information. The more you share it, the more we can affect other people and help educate people and give people information that they can use in a practical sense, not just a lot of sciencey, high-level brain work, but stuff that they can actually apply in their everyday lives to help them improve their quality of life. Okay, physical freedom is possible, and it's all about fitness. Get your body working, and you can do whatever you want to do. All right. So, what we're talking about today. We're talking about schemes of workouts, types of workouts. I'm not talking about bodybuilding workouts or Zumba workouts or Pilates or yoga. What we're talking about is the format, particularly when we talk about functional fitness or high intensity interval training. Okay. There's a lot of different acronyms. If you've ever been exposed to CrossFit or just talk to people in fitness in general, we love acronyms. We take everything we possibly can and we try to put them into as few, the easiest way to say them. Okay. Hey, what's up, Claire? How are you? Nice to see you on here. So the most common things when we talk about exercising and workouts that we see, if you're subscribed to a program, if you go online and you download workouts, we have the obvious things that we see traditionally in strength training, where we see the sets and reps scheme of exercise. So you'll see something, it'll say bench press, do 5 sets by 3 reps. So you do 3 reps, you take a break, you do 3 reps, you take a break, you do 3 reps, take a break, you do that 5 times, and then that's the workout that you did for that particular exercise. Okay. It doesn't quite work like that with high intensity interval training, functional fitness, when we talk particularly about metabolic conditioning. Okay. So there's so many different areas of this that we can talk about. We're not talking about strength training specifically, because when we talk about functional fitness, it's really hard to isolate one thing. Okay. Because by definition, functional fitness is designed to target multiple components of fitness, multiple movements, multiple metabolic pathways, and multiple components or aspects of what we define as fitness. So remember, we have 3 metabolic pathways, right? We have the phosphogene ATP, which is short, really quick work. We have glycolytic, which is short, a higher intensity work, not like long runs. And then we have oxidative, which is for those long runs where we work primarily on using oxygen to burn fat. Okay. The glycolytic pathway and the ATP pathway don't really use oxygen as much. It's more the oxidative pathway that does that. So different ways our body burns fuel. We'll talk about that later. All right. When we talk about the components of fitness, there's strength and endurance and stamina and balance and coordination and accuracy and flexibility. Okay. Power and speed, all of these different aspects that we talk about when we talk about using functional fitness to improve your health. Okay. Of those and say that's all we're going to work, because by definition, functional fitness includes all of that stuff, as well as all of the different ways that we move our body. It's the 7 essential movements, right? Pushing, pulling, hinging, squatting, lunging, carrying, twisting. Okay. So if you think about that, I just listed off 20 different things that functional fitness, high intensity interval training focused exercise programs address. Okay. If there's 20 different things that these programs are working on to help you improve your fitness, then we can't just have something that's simple as do 5 sets of 3 reps and then move on to the next exercise. It doesn't work that way. Just doesn't. Okay. So what we do is we do what we call workout schemes. Okay, schemes is the best way. Workouts, methods, types of workouts, whatever you want to call them. But I think schemes probably sums up what they are. There's different ways of combining time, how many reps you're doing, how fast you're doing them, and what the target of the workout, and that's the big one, what the target of the workout is intended to be. Okay. So if you've ever heard the phrase, I'm going to go over the top five. There's five major ones that you probably will see the most of anything else. Okay. They are 4-time workouts. Okay. If you do a workout and it says you have this much work to do, how fast can you do it? Okay. That's 4-time. You have what we call Amraps, if you've ever heard that phrase, AMRAP. That is short for, here we go with acronyms, and AMRAP is short for as many rounds or reps as possible. So you have a set amount of time, and you have to see how much work you can do in that amount of time. It's very different than 4-time work, okay? Those are the top two most common that you're going to find, okay? Then probably second or third, these two can kind of be interchangeable because they're similar. One is an EMOM. All right. That is also another acronym that stands for every minute on the minute. And then there are some times we'll talk about it where that doesn't actually mean every minute, but we'll go over that. Then there's also Tabata, which you probably have heard of. Most people, particularly if you had any exposure to high intensity interval training type workouts, you've probably been exposed to Tabata. Okay. And then the last one, which is probably the least well known, but is also pretty common in the space. If you've been doing this for a while, you definitely have seen this. If you're new to it, you probably have never heard of it. It's not as generally popular of a type of workout, and that's the death by scheme of workouts. Okay. The death by scheme. And that's kind of a combination of an AMRAP and an EMOM. We'll talk about that one as we go. Okay. All right. So let's start with understanding a couple things. Primarily, what we're talking about when we talk about functional fitness training in metabolic conditioning. Okay. This is what we're talking about, metabolic conditioning. Functional fitness training, because it's so broad, it can be broken up into strength, metabolic conditioning. Those are the two general areas. Okay. We could also say movement, right? Because then there's a skill, there's a level of learning movement patterns and how the body moves that's not necessarily strength specific or conditioning your metabolic pathways, but more approaching the aspects of the nervous system for skill specific improvements. Okay. We're not talking in this conversation, we're not talking about skill specific. We're not talking about strength specific. We're going to generally focus more on the conditioning aspect. So what that means is our focus for these types of exercises, okay, are primarily going to be endurance and stamina. Okay, endurance and stamina are the two primary things when we talk about metabolic conditioning. Okay, we're talking about the 3 metabolic pathways. Okay, we're talking about ATP, energy that's stored in your muscles. That's only there's only a little bit there, and it can only be used for really quick, hard, fast work. Okay, then the glycolytic pathway is the second one. That's the glycogen that's stored in your muscles. That's there for fast work. It can last a little bit longer, up to a minute or so, minute to maybe 2 minutes. Anything over that, and then you get into what we start talking about with fat burning, using oxygen to burn fat. That's the oxidative pathway. Okay, so there's 3 different pathways when we talk about functional fitness metabolic conditioning. Okay, if you've ever heard the term Metcon, that's short for metabolic conditioning. That's what we're talking about, and that's where the focus of this discussion is going to be. Okay, so we are talking about primarily endurance and stamina. There's some secondary things that we're going to get here because we're doing functional fitness. We're not doing all of this stuff with just our body weight. You can, if you're at a place where you need to do these things and you're not ready to add weight, then don't add weight. You can still follow these schemes, these workout schemes, and get progress and see progress because your body does weigh something. You are going to get benefit whether you add weight or not. Okay. But as you do that, as you go through these things, as you do the 7 essential movements when you're doing these exercises, okay, because all of these exercises require combinations of movements. I'm going to do in one workout, I'm going to do maybe squats, maybe push-ups, maybe jumping jacks, maybe lunges. right? Maybe I'm going to do deadlifts or bear crawls. I'm going to do multiple different things because I'm looking at functional fitness. Okay. So not only am I getting my metabolic conditioning, not only am I secondarily focusing on movement and learning how to move my body, but I'm also going to be by default getting a secondary focus on working on some speed and power and strength and agility. Okay. You see how this works? Functional fitness. This is what makes functional fitness so cool is you can do one workout that's 15 minutes long and you can get half of all you got 20 components of fitness, you get half of them in one workout. And there's so many ways you can combine and put this stuff together that in a week you can get all 20 aspects of fitness without burning yourself out because the variety is so crazy cool. Okay. All right. So that's kind of the basis of what we're talking about when we're talking about using these schemes to develop your overall fitness. Okay. It's not just strength. It's not just any one thing. It's a combination. So on one layer, we have metabolic. On another layer, we have components of fitness. On another layer, we have movements that we're learning all at the same time. Okay. So let's talk about the first one. Let's talk about 4-time workouts. Okay. Now, something to remember when we talk about these, the stimulus, the questions we want to ask ourselves. Okay. What is the stimulus? What is this exercise? What is this workout scheme trying to do? What is the change in my body it's trying to elicit? Okay. And then what is the intensity that's being used to get that stimulus? Okay. Those are the two main questions. What is it trying to do and how is it doing it? Okay. Because intensity can be defined a lot of different ways. Intensity can be defined by the weight that you're using, the number of reps you're trying to do, the speed you're trying to do them, the time you have to get something done, or how long are you going? So time can be a level of intensity in a couple different directions. How fast can you go to get it done quickly? Or how long can you go to manage that endurance and make it last as long as possible, or go for a long period of time without bonking out, right? There's a lot of different ways to look at it. So when we talk about a 4-time workout, what that one is, that is a multi-purpose scheme. A 4-time workout is multi-purpose. What you're doing is you're saying, here is a set amount of work. Okay. Here's your list of things to do. Get these all done as fast as you can. And then your metric, how you know you're getting better, is when the time it takes you to do that work starts going down. Okay. Just use a simple example. You have 100 steps to walk. You got 100 flights of stairs to walk. That is your set amount of work. If you take 30 minutes to walk 100 flight of stairs today, and then you keep training, and then you come back in 3 months and it takes you 20 minutes, you improved your fitness. You were able to do the same amount of work in less time. That is how the 4-time workouts work. So you can do that any way that you want to. You can set up all kinds of stuff. You can do something that's strictly cardio and say, I'm going to try to see how long it takes me to run a mile. It takes me 15 minutes to run a mile. That is now my 4-time benchmark. As I test my fitness and improve my fitness, I'm going to come out and every month I'm going to run a mile. Okay. And then that time should go down. So that's a classic 4-time exercise, 4-time workout. You could also do something else. You could say, hey, I'm going to combine 5 different exercises. And I'm going to say, let's do 5 by 5. Let's say I'm going to do 5 air squats, 5 burpees, 5 push-ups, 5 lunges, and 5 jumping jacks. And I'm going to do that 20 times. So 100, 5, 5, 5, what's that, 50, 1,000 reps. Okay. If that's right. I'm doing math real fast. Okay. So 50 times 20, it's 1,000 reps. Okay. So if I do that and it takes me 30 minutes, then I have a benchmark for that workout. My 4-time metric for that workout is 30 minutes. The next time I do those 1,000 reps, 5, 5, 5, 5 times, 20 times, if it takes me 20 minutes, I've now improved my fitness. Now, think about what you just did. You did 5 different movements that have different movement patterns, require different levels of strength. It's not the same pattern like walking stairs or running a mile. It's not just one movement. You're doing all sorts of different movements. So while you're doing that, you're also improving your balance and coordination and strength and all sorts of other things, as well as your metabolic conditioning. In that one in particular, because it's a 30-minute or 20-minute exercise, mostly in your fat burning phase of your metabolism, right? So I'm doing a 20-minute workout. I'm burning fat while I'm doing it. I'm also building strength. I'm also building muscular endurance and stamina. I'm also improving my balance and coordination. This is the cool part, right? This is where functional fitness gets really cool, when you start tying these things in to the different schemes. Okay. So a 4-time workout can be multi-purpose in the different aspects that you're hitting. The biggest thing to remember is it's a time is the primary base that you're looking at. So if I do a 4-time workout and I try to do something and say, look, I want to try to get this is a really high intensity effort. I'm going to try to do 30 burpees as fast as possible, right? That should take about 5 minutes. Okay. Maybe 6 minutes, let's say, right? Let's say I can do 5 burpees a minute. That's going to be high intensity. It's only a 5 or 6 minute workout. Okay. You're going to be mostly working in the glycolytic phase because it's short, right? You're going to get some fat burn, but you're going to be primarily in the glycolytic phase, burning a lot of glycogen using your muscles. Okay. That's one way to use 4-time. If it takes me 6 minutes to do 30 burpees, okay, cool. I'm going to try to get better. I want to get down to 5 minutes, right? That's my 4-time work. You could do the same thing like we talked about, do something longer. I want to focus more on my oxidative, my fat burn, and do something that's 30 minutes or 40 minutes long, right? It could be something super simple. It could be, I'm going to go hike, and I want to hike 3 miles. It should take me no more than an hour and a half, right? If it takes me an hour and 45 minutes, then I know I've got to figure out a way to cut 15 minutes off my 3-mile hike. That's the same thing. You're burning fat, you're working your body. It's a whole different stimulus, but it's the same format of the workout. Does that make sense? Hope that makes sense, everybody. Okay. So these are flexible. It's multi-purpose. Okay. That's the cool thing about 4-time. And this is why 4-time and Amrap are the most common formats of functional fitness training exercises you're going to find. Okay. The schemes you're going to find. Formats is another word. I like that better actually than schemes. Workout formats. All right. So that's 4-time. Amrap, as many rounds or as many reps as possible. Okay. This one is different than 4-time. In 4-time, you have a set amount of work. You see how quickly you can get it done. In an Amrap, you have a set amount of time, and then you want to see how much work can you do in that time. The time never changes. So they're opposite each other. Okay. In an Amrap, you say, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes. How many times can I do 10 burpees and 10 jumping lunges in 15 minutes? I'm going to do 10 burpees, 10 lunges, 10 burpees, 10 lunges, 10 burpees, 10 lunges. And you do that as fast as you can. You keep moving. If you have to take a break, you have to take a break. It doesn't matter. The time's not going to change. Okay. If you end up doing 2 minutes and then you stop and like, I can't breathe, I got to take a break for a minute before you catch your breath. And then you get back and you do it again. As long as you keep working through that whole 10 minutes, then at the end of it, you total reps, how many reps or how many rounds did I do? If you're doing 10 and 10, you can just count rounds. So, if you did 5 rounds, you did 100 total reps, however you want to count that. Okay. So in 10 minutes, I did 100 reps. I write that down. That's my score. The next time I want to go back and do that, I give myself 10 minutes. I do the same 10 burpees, 10 lunges. Okay. Hopefully, if I've gotten improvements in my fitness, if my metabolic conditioning has improved, if my strength has improved, if my stamina, my endurance, my movement patterns, right, my flexibility, my accuracy, coordination, balance, if all those things are improving, then I should be able to get 110 reps, 120, 130 reps the next time I do that work. Okay. So the improvement comes in how much work you do in the set amount of time versus the other way around. Okay. That's what an Amrap is. You set the time. Okay. And then you try to get as much work as you possibly can in that time. Okay. Now, here's the thing. This is also a multi-purpose format. Okay. When you're doing Amraps, you can do short times, super high intensity. You can give yourself longer times and pace that work out. Okay. This is a great way to teach yourself what high intensity interval training really is about. and also how to pace yourself so that you can maintain consistent work for a longer period of time and you don't burn yourself out, right? Because we want to learn how to use our body. We want to learn how to apply intensity so that we can make sure we sustain ourselves throughout a whole day, right? Think about a whole day. A whole day, you got 8 hours on the job. Your job is an 8-hour AMRAP. Think about that. Your job is an 8-hour AMRAP. Can you last all day long without crashing by the end of the day? You want to be able to get yourself to the point where you can last all day long. Whatever hours you're awake with your family, with your kids, think about those things as AMRAPs, and your day is training. You're training for real life, and that's what that is. Your life is an AMRAP. Okay, think about that. It's kind of cool. All right, that's one of those parallels between the gym and what we see in our everyday life. Okay. All right, so 4-time and AMRAP are the two most common multi-purpose. You can use them for all sorts of things. You can use them to do all 3 metabolic pathways, ATP, glycolytic, or oxidative. And you can do them to help you develop all of the different components of fitness, all the different 7 essential movements. You can fit everything into those 2. If you never did any other workout scheme, you could get enough variety in what workouts you choose and whether you go short, medium, or long with the times that you select for 4-time or AMRAP workouts. You can get all the variety you need to be completely functional fit with just AMRAPs and just 4-time workouts. Okay. But there's more. Wait, there's more. Okay. Those are the top 2. Let's talk about the other 2, probably more common ones and the other common ones. And that is EMOM and Tabata. Okay. So an EMOM means every minute on the minute. And what that is, you set your clock. Okay. It goes beep. You do some work for a minute. And then it beeps again, and you do some work for a minute, and it beeps again, and you do some work for a minute. Now, the idea behind an EMOM is much more geared towards what we traditionally think of with high intensity interval training. Okay. It's interval work. Within each minute is usually some work time and some rest time. Okay. So whether it's specifically called out in the program or in the workout that you put in, maybe you say in the first minute, I'm going to do 30 seconds of work and 30 seconds of rest. So I'm going to do as many burpees as I can in 30 seconds. And when that 30 seconds hits, I'm going to stop and I'm going to rest for 30 seconds. And then on minute number 2, I'm going to go back to work for 30 seconds. Then I'm going to rest for 30 seconds. And you do that for 10 minutes. Okay. So that's a kind of a combination of 4-time and AMRAP. You're giving yourself a set amount of time every minute on the minute for 10 minutes. I'm going to stop at 10 minutes. And then I'm trying to work as much as possible in 30 seconds and try to get that done. Okay. This is where you get into some flexibility as well, because you can do EMOMs all sorts of different ways. There's a ton of flexibility with EMOMs. Okay. Because you can turn them, you can do an AMRAP EMOM or a 4-time EMOM. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. And it's really just a matter of, do you work off of the time within the minute, or do you give yourself a set amount of work to try to do within each minute? That determines the rest instead of setting the rest. Okay. Here's what I mean. Minute number 1, if we're going to do this as an AMRAP, okay, minute number 1, you have 1 minute to get as many air squats in as possible. Okay. It's a 1-minute AMRAP, as many reps as possible in 1 minute. Minute number 2, you have 1 minute to get as many sit-ups in as possible. Minute number 3, you have 1 minute to get as many pull-ups in as possible. Minute number 4, you have 1 minute to get as many ball slams as possible, right? Then you have maybe a minute rest, take a break. Then you go back to the squats again, right? So what you've basically done is you're forcing yourself every minute to change from one movement to the next, but each minute you're trying to get as many reps as possible. Okay, see how that works? So you basically giving yourself minute-long AMRAPs for a set amount of time. I'm going to do this for 5 rounds. So I know if I have 4 exercises and 1 rest, I have 5 minutes. I'm going to do that 5 times. I know my workout, no matter what happens, I know my workout's going to be over in 25 minutes. Okay, so I'm using the EMOM structure, but I'm doing an AMRAP. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay. Another way that you can use an EMOM is tying it in and doing it like a 4-time workout. And this one is where you specify, okay, you specify the time you're going to work. You specify the amount of work you're going to do in each one. Instead of as many reps as I can, you go, I'm going to do 10 burpees. I know that 10 burpees is going to give me about 20 seconds of rest every minute. So I can work for 40 seconds, I can rest for 20 seconds. Then I'm going to do 10 push-ups. I know I can do 10 push-ups in 30 to 40 seconds. I'll have 20 seconds of rest. So what you're doing here is you're building it in so that whatever work you're doing, you can finish it in that time. If you get some rest, that's great. If you don't, you just move to the next one as when you're done, when that minute is over. But you want to make sure that with that one, you're doing the specific set of work. And here's the difference between the two. When you're setting yourself up, particularly with EMOMs, when you're setting yourself up for a 4-time based EMOM, you're working more on stamina than anything else, okay? Because you're building in rest, and the level of effort every minute should be about the same across the board. So your stamina, remember, stamina is how well can you maintain the same level of effort for a long period of time. That's stamina. So if I'm doing an EMOM and I'm going to say, I'm going to do the same amount of work every minute for 15 minutes, I'm working on stamina. I should never be in a red line, completely gassed out, flying on the floor in a pool of sweat. Okay. If I'm doing an Amrap based EMOM, every minute on the minute, I'm going to do as many reps as possible. That is much higher intensity. That is going to burn more. That's when we're working on what is your maximum output. Okay. And how long can you maintain that? Now, that's also a level of stamina because you're going over a period of time. You're just doing more work. So it's a higher level of effort that you're trying to maintain. Okay. Does that make sense? If you guys have any questions as I'm going through this, please let me know. I can kind of get into the weeds of stuff. So if I'm talking over anybody's head, please hop in there and ask any questions. If you guys have seen this stuff and have any questions, if there's another workout format that you may have seen that you're not sure about, please pop it in there and let me know. And I'll be glad to talk about it. All right, so that's an EMOM. Now, a Tabata is very similar to an EMOM in that it is basically a every minute on the minute, except it's actually every half minute on the half minute. Okay, and it's always, by definition, a Tabata is always 8 rounds. Okay, that's just the way it is. Don't ask me why. That's just the way it is. Tabata is always 8 rounds. It's 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest for 8 rounds. Okay. So a Tabata is always 4 minutes. Now you can combine multiple exercises. You can make it longer than 4 minutes, but by definition, a Tabata is always 4 minutes. It's always 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. And you can either do it where you do the same exercise for 8 rounds, and then you switch exercises and do another 8 rounds of a different exercise. And you do that a few times. Or some people like to do 8 rounds of 8 rounds, but they choose 8 different exercises. Okay. So you do 8 rounds, basically 4 minutes. Okay. So you're doing 16 minutes of work. Okay. Because 8 and 8 times half is 4 times 4. So 16 minutes total. It's only 60 minutes of work, but you're doing 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest of 1, 20 seconds of work, 10-second rest of 2, 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds rest of 3. You do that for 8 different exercises. And then you go back to the first exercise and you do it again, and you do that 8 times. Okay. So there's a lot of different ways you can throw Tabata in. That is probably one of your most common high intensity interval training formats. It's going to get you going. It's going to get you moving. Your heart rate is going to get up. That's going to burn a lot of sugar. You're going to get into some oxidative as well. You're going to burn fat. And again, you're going to hit all those different essential movements and things like that too. Okay. Now remember, if you're doing some of these things and you're adding weight, you're not only working strength, but you're working muscular endurance and muscular stamina, not just cardio. Because you're moving your body, we're not taught. When I say stamina and endurance, I'm not talking about cardio. Okay, cardio is a part of it. That's why it's called metabolic conditioning, because your cardio does get affected and does improve. Your VO2 max will improve. Your ability to run will improve. I have dozens of runners that I've worked with who have worked on my program, and we didn't run for 6 months and they went out for their first run and crushed what they've been doing for runs because they're improving their metabolism. They didn't need to run to do that. Okay. But we're talking about overall metabolic conditioning, overall, okay, muscular, central nervous system, cardiovascular, how your body burns fuel, all of those things are being improved to help improve your endurance and stamina. It's not just your lungs and your heart. Okay. All right. So the last one, which is my favorite, one of my favorite guys. Okay. I love this one, partially because you can do it with burpees really well. And you guys know I love burpees. They're my favorite exercise. Okay. Um, Death by is a great structure. The death by format is basically an EMOM, but instead of every minute on the minute, you just do a set of work. Every minute on the minute, you increase the work you're doing. Okay. So traditionally, you take an exercise that's fairly highly intense, like burpees, and on minute one, you do 1 minute. You do 1 minute. You do one rep, one burpee. That's all you got to do. One burpee. Okay. And then you take a break. So that takes 5 seconds. I got 55 seconds to rest. Minute number 2, beep, 2 burpees. And then you rest. Minute number 3, 3 burpees. Minute number 4, 4 burpees. Every minute you do the work and then you rest. And then when the next minute comes, you add 1 rep of whatever that exercise is. Right? This is one of my favorite workouts because it starts off and you're 5, 6, 7 minutes in and you're like thinking to yourself, like, this is all there is. And then you get to 8, 9, and 10, and you start to realize that you might be in a little trouble. Okay. You start to realize, like, wait a second, what have I got myself into here? This is going to hurt, right? But hurt in a good way. You're going to push yourself. This is a really good way to test your capacity and how intense and how hard can you really push. If you want to do well in a death by workout, you really have to want it. You have to go for it. You leave it all on the table. The last 3 or 4 minutes is the part that sucks. The rest of it's kind of easy. You can do a 15-minute workout and you're chill for 12 minutes, right? The 13th, 14th, and 15th minute is where you're going to feel it. That's where you're going to get in here. That's where you're going to get in here. You're going to dig in and try to go as hard as you can and see how much you really want. Okay. That's why I love the death by workouts, because it tests your grit every single time. Grit is a whole nother discussion we're going to have at some point about what grit is, why it's important, and how fitness helps us develop it. Okay. So that is the last one, guys. Death by workouts, death by format is my favorite. I love doing it. If you're interested in trying it, let me know how it goes. I really want to hear if anybody's got. You can do it with all sort of things. Anything you can think of. You can do it with calories. Get on a bike, 1 calorie every minute, 2 calories a second minute, 3 calories, 2 calories. Do it rowing, right? You could do burpees. You could do ball slams. You could do air squats. You could pick any movement, one movement, just try it. I want to do it once, and then every minute add another rep and see how far you get. Right? It's super versatile. What's up, Rainey? I've been doing these every other day. Is every other day? Is it a rest? Usually it's always full body, so test all muscle groups. Yeah, if you're doing something every other day, that's probably fine. Every other day is usually good. I highly recommend making sure that you're getting enough sleep, right? Taking some cold showers. If you do that, I try to do that. I don't like it, but it helps. It really does. I'll be honest with you. Make sure you're getting electrolytes. Make sure you are, in those rest days, you're not just sitting on your butt, but you're moving your body a little bit. Get some mobility, get some strength work, some flexibility work in, some mobility work, roll out, work on some positioning and posture things, some low intensity things that you can do. But if every other day is pretty good, that's a good schedule. I like that. I think if everybody did something every other day consistently and like every other day they were always doing something, I think that would be fantastic. Absolutely. And Rainey, here's the thing. We can, I don't know if we've talked about this with your maximum recovery volume. If you feel like, okay, I'll just use myself. Today, guys, I did a workout. It's Tuesday. I did a workout Sunday. I have not done heavy deadlifts in 8 months. 8 months, guys, because of some changes, some things I've been doing. I've been working out consistently, but I've changed my routine. I've gotten into a different focus of what I'm doing. And heavy deadlifting is something that I haven't done. I've been deadlifting, okay, but I've been doing it differently. Okay. So in the program that I'm working on right now, that I'm putting together for myself and for Coach Nat, we had heavy deadlifts, and I haven't done it in like 8 months. So I went in, did heavy deadlifts. I felt great. It was awesome. It felt good to do it. But I knew by the end of that workout, I was done. Like my body, my central nervous system was like, what are you doing? You haven't done this in forever. We are going to need to take a break. Right. So yesterday I took a rest day. Today I was planning on going to the gym. About 2:30, I asked Nat, I said, hey, Nat, are we going to go to the gym? She said, yeah, we'll get ready. I got to finish something up. We can go about 30 minutes. Okay. Around 4 o'clock, I woke up on the couch. Okay. I was done. My body was done. I did not work out today. Okay. So understanding and listening to your body and being okay with, hey, you know what? I may have overdone it, or I may have been working too much, and being able to say, I'm not going to go today. I'll do something different. Do it. That's perfectly fine. Okay. Just don't make it a habit, and don't make excuses for not going. Listen to your body. When your body's saying don't go, then don't go. Okay. Other than that, get your butt to the gym and do some workouts. But I like every other day. That's awesome, Rainey. That's cool. All right, guys. Thank you very much. That's it. That's one of my longest ones. I usually don't go almost 40 minutes, but I love talking about this stuff. So as always, I will see you guys next week. If you have any questions or anything you'd like me to talk about, please shoot me a message. Let me know. Please share this information. If you can use it, so can somebody else. And we want to help as many people as possible. All right. Take it easy. See you next week.